Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today I have got another TBR for another readathon, and this time it is the Halloweenathon. Now, the Halloweenathon, it was created by Paul over at Purgatory Limbo Offerings Booktuber. I believe I said that entirely right. He used to be Purgatory Paul's Book Review, I believe, but now he is Purgatory Limbo Offerings Booktuber. Anyway, he came up with a readathon or Halloweenathon that he has basically said, if you want to start it now, even though it's really not that close to Halloween yet, he said you can go ahead and start it now if you want to. It's going to run all the way through Halloween, all the way through October, and there are only 4 prompts. And he says you only have to do 3 of them. I'm going to try to do all of them because 4, hey, it's pretty good. And this is on top of my TBR, my regular TBR for August. So let's see how I do. Anyway, the first prompt is to read a book that is something in it is about your greatest fear. And that one was the hardest. I cannot think of anything. I cannot think of what my greatest fear is. I'm not saying that I'm fearless. I'm definitely not fearless. But my greatest fear, I really do not know. I used to hate wasps. I do. I don't like wasps. I don't know if I'm scared of them, but I don't like them. I think they're the only insect that deliberately sets out to mess with you. You know, and I just don't like them. I don't like ants, but it's not like I'm scared of them. I just don't like them. They give me the heebie-jeebies, you know. So there's that. I mean, I could have read a book about like insects, giant insects, or something like that. I read The Swarm by Arthur Herzog years ago. I thought it sucked, so I don't want to read that. All right. But then I got to thinking, I said, what is one thing that used to scare me when I was a kid? Okay. So when I was a kid and my parents and I would go to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, I would go swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. And I used to love to swim underwater, all right? But the water there is kind of murky, or at least it was then. I'm sure it is now still. And I was always afraid, and this is before Jaws. This is way before Jaws. I was always afraid that I would be swimming along, and all of a sudden from up out of the depths would kind of and just grab me and suck me down into the water. That scared the hell out of me, man. So for that one, I thought to myself, I'll read this book that I've got on my Kindle, and it's called Gills, and it's by Abe Moss, and it looks like it's about killer mermaids. You know, so that's something from the sea, something deadly from the sea. It also sounds like it's a little bit along the same lines as Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. So I'm hoping it's not a complete ripoff because it sounds like very similar to it. It's about a woman that goes back home, her sister is missing, and of course they live by the ocean, and then of course, you know, shenanigans ensue. All right. So like I said, I'm hoping it's not too much like Into the Drowning Deep, because that was actually a pretty doggone good book. All right. So that is my pick for read a book with my greatest fear. Next up is read a book involving the occult or a cult. Do either one of them. For that one, I'm going to go ahead with one that I've already started reading. I'm on page 79 or 80 of it. And that is Curse of the Pigman. And it is really good so far. Let me put it to you that way. I'm talking about really awesome. I mean, it's just constant action to it. I'm really loving it. All right? Failed baseball player Jason Dillon has just moved to the quiet Vermont town of East Valley. But unfortunately, his timing couldn't have been worse. Though the entire 20th century only brought 8 notable storms to the Green Mountain State, Hurricane Ivana has just arrived with a special delivery, a tree through Jason's roof. On his desperate trek to find help, Jason comes upon Sophia, a little girl who has been tied up and left in the woods. Despite his best intentions, Jason's attempt to help the child has interrupted the ritual of a neighborhood cult, a ritual that protects the town from an ancient demonic swine. With all the roads leading out of town impassable, Jason and his few allies must not only escape the pursuing cultists, but somehow survive a curse that has left the majority of East Valley's population with an insatiable hunger. Cultist, cannibals, and the demon itself must all be defeated if Jason and his friends are going to survive the curse of the Pigman. So that one falls under both categories because it sounds like there's something to do with the occult, and it sounds like there is a cult to it, which there is. So anyway, that is that prompt. So there you go. Next up is one to read a book about a haunting, be a haunted house, haunted whatever. So for that one, I just got this one in the mail. I cannot wait to dig into it. It is by Keelan Patrick Burke, and it is The House on Abigail Lane. And first of all, this cover is awesome. When you first look at it, you're just like, oh, well, it's just a bunch of flowers. Look closely. Right there. See the eyeball? That is so freaking weird and so awesome. I love this cover. I think Keelan probably did the cover for this. He does a lot of covers for Silver Shamrock Publishing. He's an awesome artist. So, yeah. Anyway, from the outside, it looks like an ordinary American home. But since its construction in 1956, people have vanished as soon as they go upstairs. The only clues, the things they leave behind. A wedding ring, a phone, an eye. In its 60-year history, a record number of strange events have been attributed to the house. From the neighbors waking up to find themselves standing in the yard outside, to the grieving man who vanished before a police officer's eyes. The animals gathering in the yard as if summoned, the people who speak in reverse, the lights and sounds, the music, the grass dying overnight, and the 10-foot clown on the second floor. And as long as there are mysteries, people will be compelled to write them. Here then is the most comprehensive account of the Abigail House phenomenon, the result of 60 years of eyewitness accounts, news reports, scientific research, and parapsychological investigations, all in an attempt to decode the enduring mystery that is The House on Abigail Lane. And that is the prompt for read a book about a haunting of some sort or another. There we go. Finally, you remember how I said you had to read one about your greatest fears? So this one here is about someone else you know and their greatest fears. And the only one I can really think about that one is my stepdaughter. She is scared to death of spiders. She hates spiders. Can't stand them. Just, no, forget it, all right? Anyway, I decided to go with Sarah Pinborough's Breeding Ground. All right. Life was good for Matt and Chloe. They were in love and looking forward to their new baby. But what Chloe gave birth to isn't a baby. It isn't even human. It's an entirely new species that uses humans only for food and as hosts for their young. As Matt soon learns, though, he is not alone in his terror. Women all over town have begun to give birth to these hideous creatures, spidery nightmares that live to kill and feed. As the infestation spreads and the countryside is reduced to a series of web-shrouded ghost towns, will the survivors find a way to fight back? Or is it only a matter of time before all of mankind is reduced to a breeding ground? Where'd that echo come from? I don't know. Anyway, that is it. That's my TBR for Halloweenathon. And again, I said it was sponsored or created or whatever you want to call it by Purgatory Limbo Offerings Booktuber, formerly Purgatory Paul's Book Review. This has been I don't know what this has been. It's been my TBR. Anyway, thank you for watching and good night or bye. See you later.